Welcome to GCSE Maths Help. Today we're going to be looking at solving quadratic equations using a graph, the formula and by completing the square, and the key points you need to know for your exam. Let's get started. In a previous video I talked about solving quadratic equations using the factorisation method, but there are other ways to solve quadratic equations as well. We can use the formula, we can read the coordinates off a graph, or we could use a method called completing the square. The quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, where a is the number in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of the x, and c is the number at the end of the equation. To use the formula, you just put those numbers into the formula and use your calculator to find the answer. For example, solve the equation 2x squared plus 10x minus 3 equals 0 using the formula, giving each answer to 3 decimal places. So our quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So we've got our a value is 2. Our b value is 10 and our c value is minus 3. So our first answer is going to be x equals minus 10 plus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 3 divided by 2 times 2. Our other answer for the quadratic is going to be x equals minus 10 minus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 3 divided by 2 times 2. So we can say that x is equal to minus 10 plus the square root of 124 divided by 4. And on this side, x is equal to minus 10 minus the square root of 124 divided by 4. So if we put these into our calculators, we get x is equal to 0.284 to 3 decimal places. And the second answer is x equals minus 5.284 to 3 decimal places. We can solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. To complete the square, we write the answer as x plus p in brackets squared plus q is equal to 0. So our equation here is x squared plus 4x minus 10 is equal to 0. Solve the equation by completing the square. So our p-value is always half of the number that's in front of the x. So in this case, our p-value is 2. So we've got x plus 2 in brackets squared plus q is equal to 0. But if we expand that out, we get x squared plus 4x, which was like our original equation, plus 4. So because we need minus 10, we need to minus an extra 14. So that gives us x plus 2 squared minus 14 is equal to 0. So now we can go about solving it. We can add 14 to both sides to give us x plus 2 squared is equal to 14. We can square root both sides to give us x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 14, and we can minus 2 from both sides to give us x is equal to minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 14. So our two answers for x are x equals minus 2 plus the square root of 14 and x equals minus 2 minus the square root of 14. Let's try another example. We've got solve the equation x squared plus 10x minus 7 is equal to 0 by completing the square. So our completing the square formula is x plus p in brackets squared plus q is equal to 0. So our p-value is always half of the number in front of x. So x plus 5 squared plus q is equal to 0. So let's expand that out to see what we've got. We've got x squared plus 10x plus 25, but we want minus 7, so we need to take away another 32 to make our equation correct. So that means we've got x plus 5 squared minus 32 is equal to 0. So now we can solve it. We can add 32 to both sides to give us x plus 5 squared is equal to 32. We can square root both sides to give us x plus 5 is equal to plus or minus square root of 32, and we can minus 5 from both sides to give us x equals minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 32. So x equals minus 5 plus the square root of 32, and x equals minus 5 minus the square root of 32. The last way you might be asked to solve quadratic equations is by using a graph. When we factorise a quadratic, x is always the value that makes one of the brackets equal 0. So x squared minus 4x minus 5 factorises to x plus 1 in one bracket and x minus 5 in the other bracket. So for this bracket to equal 0, x is equal to minus 1. For this bracket to equal 0, x is equal to 5. So when we're looking at a graph, we want to find the x values when y equals 0, just like when we factorise. So the x values when y equals 0 are when the line crosses the x-axis. So these are the solutions for x. When we're looking at a quadratic line on a graph, we're also able to work out the turning point, the point where y is at its maximum or its minimum. To calculate the coordinates of this point, we can do it two ways. The x-coordinate is always halfway between the two solutions for x. So once you have the x-coordinate, you can put it into the equation to get the y-coordinate. The other way you can find the turning point is by completing the square. So the x value is whatever the bracket needs to equal 0, and the y-coordinate is the bit that's on the outside of the bracket. So if we had x plus 2 in the bracket squared minus 4 is equal to y, once we've completed the square, the turning point, the x-coordinate will be minus 2 and the y-coordinate will be minus 4. Let's find the minimum point on this graph here. We've been given the equation y equals x squared plus bx plus c, but it isn't complete, so the first thing we need to do is find b and c. So from the graph we can see that when x equals 0, y equals minus 10. So minus 10 is equal to 0 squared plus 0 times b plus c. So minus 10 is equal to 0 plus 0 plus c. So c must equal minus 10. So the other point that we've been given is that when y equals 0, x equals 5. So let's use that. We've got 0 equals 5 squared plus 5b minus 10, because we know what c is now. So 0 is equal to 25 minus 10 is 15 plus 5b. So if we minus 15 from both sides, we get minus 15 is equal to 5b, so b is equal to minus 3. So now we've got a full equation. So to find the x-coordinate of the turning point on the graph, it's going to be halfway between the two solutions for x. So we could really do with finding out what p is. So with our full equation, we've got y equals x squared minus 3x minus 10, and we can put this into brackets. So we're looking for two numbers that times together to make minus 10 and add together to make minus 3. So we've got y equals x minus 5 in one bracket, which we knew because we know that 5 crosses the x-axis, we've been told that, and then x plus 2 in the other bracket. So the x-coordinate for p must be minus 2, so we can draw that on the graph. So now that we know p, we can see that halfway between minus 2 and 5 is 1.5. So the x-coordinate that we're looking for the turning point is 1.5. So we can put this into the equation of the line to find that the y-coordinate is minus 12.25. So this is the coordinate of the turning point on the graph. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to have some practice at answering exam-style questions on this topic, click the link in the bio below. Don't forget to subscribe to GCSE Maths Help with the subscribe button below, or you can check out my Instagram page at GCSE Maths Help for more videos and tips. Thanks for watching.